Hello, this is Guillem Godoy, and with this I continue a series of videos where I try to explain how to program with Android Studio. In fact, this video builds upon previous ones, and it builds upon a previous one where I showed how to program, how to make an app that displays plenty of stars that go from top to bottom so that somehow we get the impression that we are moving upwards. Okay, well, now in this video our goal is to draw over those stars a starship so that somehow it will give the impression that the starship is moving upwards thanks to this sensation provided by the background given by the stars. Okay, well, this is the specific sprite sheet that we're going to use. I've drawn it using the GIMP program. And yes, I accept I'm not a professional artist, but this is gonna be enough for our goal. Note that the sprite sheet is just a sprite that contains the same sprite replicated. It appears 4 times, and the only difference is this alleged fire that uses the starship in order to get the speed. But of course, this is just in order to give an impression to the user. We all know that in outer space things are more complicated than that. Well, let's go to the programming area, and I will start by pressing the play button so that we will remember how was the app we are building upon. Okay, so yeah, sorry, it seems that I have a mistake here, but maybe on the second attempt it will work. Yes. Okay, so this is what we had. For some reason it's getting blocked. Okay, maybe it's simply that okay, let me stop it and try to play it again. Okay, now it seems that it is running normally. I don't know what was going on, but sometimes these things happen. Well, so as I said, our goal is to move a starship over this background. I'm gonna start by putting in the drawable folder the starship.png that I have. Okay, now we have it here. And first of all, I'm gonna try to draw it on our screen. And with that goal, I'm gonna create a, okay, remember we had a private class for managing the stars, I'm gonna create another one for managing the starship. Okay. For example, we will have the coordinates of the starship, and for example, its size. Okay, and for example, we can have an init function. Well, actually, it could be the same constructor. In this case. And for example, its initial coordinates could be the middle of the screen. So for example, x could be the width halves, and similarly height halves. And for example, as the size, we could choose width, let's say divided by 8. Okay. And we need a draw function. And for that, we will need the bitmap. We will need to draw the bitmap of the starship, which we have not defined yet. Okay, we need to initialize it. For example, here beside the bitmap star, we proceed analogously. Okay, so now we have this, we have read this bitmap and we can draw it here. We want to draw on, sorry, using this bitmap star, and remember we have 4 pictures here. I'm gonna try to draw the first one, the leftmost one. Okay, so we come back to here. Okay, the leftmost one is found in a rectangle which begins at 0, 0. It has width fourths of the bitmap. So sorry, I'm in there. Sorry, this must be bitmap starship. Sorry. So the width divided by 4 gives us the the width of this first part, or the exact drawing we want to get. Okay, and the height. Okay, in order to make it visible. Okay, this is the rectangular area from which we want to get the drawing from the first bitmap. Next, we want to draw it over a rectangle, which will be on the destination bitmap at position x minus. Okay, let's assume that the x and y are the center of the starship. Okay, so x minus size halves goes to the left corner, of the starship, and similarly this goes to the upper. Okay, these two define the top left corner of the place when we want to draw the starship. Oh. And these two define the bottom right corner. Okay. And finally, we need a paint object. I remember we had one that I had not modified at all, so I'm gonna reuse it. And this is drawing the starship right in the center of the screen. Okay. Well, we need to declare a variable starship. Okay. And initialize it, for example, in the same place where we declared the stars. Since this is calling the constructor, it is already being initialized at the right place. And now we also need to draw it. We were already calling a global draw. Maybe we can take advantage of it and draw the starship here too. And if I've not forgotten anything, then this should be enough, at least to see the starship on the center of the screen. Okay, let's see if that's the case. Yeah, it takes some time, but there it is. Okay, now we have the starship. I'm gonna stop it. Now, as the next step, I'm gonna try to read a touch event, though with the emulator that will be a click event or a click down event with the mouse. Okay. And this click event must be defined for the corresponding view that we are using for displaying displaying everything. That was an image view called image view. Okay, we are gonna set an untouched listener. And in this function here, we must define what do we do when we receive an untouched event. Okay. As a parameter, we are receiving a motion event object that, among other things, the motion event has a getX function, which tells us the exact X where the touch has taken place. Okay, what I'm gonna do is to assign this position as new position of the starship. Okay, so starship.x will be this position. Yeah, maybe there's a problem with the type because we had an integer, and I proceed similarly with the y coordinate. Okay, so now the starship should be relocated every time I touch, even when I move. Yeah, this event, this untouched event takes place when I touch for the first time, I move the finger or the mouse, and when I make the touch up. Okay, the specific information of what case we are in is in this object, but so far we don't need it if for us it is independent, or regardless whether we are moving or touching or moving the finger up. So far we went to do the same thing, that is placing the coordinates of the starship at that position, okay? Well, let's see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna press at different places. I'm gonna move. Okay, it's running a little bit slow. Fortunately, I think I'm having performance problems here. Maybe it's because I'm recording this video. Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop it. Now my next goal will be to make the ship. Notice that now I'm placing the ship different positions with the mouse. Now I'm gonna make it to move automatically towards the center as long as it is not in the center, okay? So I'm gonna define speed. Okay, since we're gonna be moving the starship, maybe we will need more precision. So I'm gonna transform this into floats or doubles. Okay, and I'm gonna define a speed variable. For example, proportional to the size. We will run at 4 times. Our speed will be 4 times our size per second. Okay, and I'm gonna define a move function that will try to move. It will try to move the starship towards the center. Well, I'm gonna define an X destination and Y destination fields here. And okay, to start by, they will be exactly the place where the starship is at the beginning. Okay, destination is where the starship wants to be. Well, that's what the move function aims to achieve. So, okay, let's define variables direction x. It will be x destination minus x, and direction y will be y destination minus y. Okay, that's like the vector, the displacement vector from our current position to our destination position. Okay, well, for this move function, we're gonna receive a delta, which will be the time that has passed. Okay, the ship will move towards its destination some distance depending on how much time has passed since the last occasion. Okay, well, so the distance that we have to move is delta times speed, right? Speed times time is the distance we have to move, right? If this distance is bigger than how far okay, this distance move, if this is bigger than how far we are from the destination, so it could be distance to destination. Okay, this distance is applying the Pythagorean theorem. It will be the square root of dx square plus dy square. Okay, so if the distance to destination is smaller than the distance we move, then we can directly, I mean, if we're moving more than how far we are from the destination, we can directly place the starship on the destination. Okay, and we are done. Okay, otherwise, well, okay, let's do this with an if else. Otherwise, we have to move. We have to move x and y. Okay, let's do the following. Okay, note that dx and dy represent that vector from our current position to the destination position. Let's make that vector unitary, which is equivalent to divide both values by distance to destination. Okay. This way, now dx dy represents a unitary vector. Okay. So x and y must be moved according in the direction of this unitary vector, but as much as the distance move, right? Okay, this way x and y are moving in towards that direction, but as much as delta times speed. Okay. Well, now this move function should be called from somewhere, but an option is to call it from the move function that we already had for moving the stars. Okay, so we had precisely a delta parameter telling us how long has passed since the last frame. Okay, well, so let's see if this works. Oh, there's a compilation error. Yeah, maybe we need to convert. Oh yeah, because we changed we changed these types to double, and maybe when we draw, okay, this rect requires an integer value. That's it. Let's see if it works now. Okay, I'm gonna click it somewhere, and indeed, when I click somewhere, the starship is placed at that position, but then it tries to move towards the center again, because precisely we defined uh, X destination and Y destination as the center. Well, now I'm going to make a change which consists in when we touch, we will define as X destination and Y destination the coordinates that where we are touching, okay? So that, I mean, instead of placing, okay, let's go to where we have the touch listener. Instead of placing the starship there, I'm gonna set the destination there, so that when we click somewhere, the starship will be aimed at that point. It will try to move towards that direction instead of being placed there automatically. Okay, well, let's see if that works. Okay, now I'm gonna press somewhere else. And yes, what it happens now is that the starship moves towards the coordinate that I pressed for the last time. Okay, the thing is that when I click somewhere, then the starship begins moving towards that direction, even if our finger or finger goes up or we stop the click, right? So in order to make it be moving only while we are clicking or while we keep the touch, we're going to modify this function slightly. I'm going to declare a variable. Let's call it Boolean variable is pressed. Okay, at the beginning it will be false. And we will modify depending on the value of motion event dot get action. For example, if the action is down, that is when we press on the screen. In this case, we're gonna set is pressed to true. Okay. Sorry, we need to. This is terrible. And in the case where the action is up, what I'm gonna do is set is pressed equal false. Okay, and I'm gonna set X destination and Y destination as the place where the finger or the mouse is now, only when we are pressed. Okay. Okay, maybe this return false was behind the cause that only the touch events were being, only the action down was being detected. Okay, let me try with true. Well, let's see if this works. Yes, sorry, it seems, uh, yeah, it seems that it was necessary to return true here, because otherwise only the touchdowns were being detected. Okay, so sorry for that. But now it seems that it's working properly. I'm moving. I mean, as oh yeah, maybe. Hmm. Sorry, maybe when the button is not pressed, it would be good to set the destination as the current position of the starship. So that when we are not pressing the starship won't move. Okay, it will stay at its current position. Well, let's see if that works. Yeah, now as even if I press, when I press far away from, in a position far away from the starship, and I release the click, I release the mouse, then it stops moving. Okay, that's thanks to these two instructions here. Okay, well, so that's it. That's more or less what I wanted to achieve. Okay, well, so far I forgot to use the whole. Yeah, I'm gonna stop it. Okay, remember that we had a sprite sheet with four different images, very similar. They are very similar, but the size of the fire of the starship is different. Um, but I'm gonna leave you as an exercise to make use of them in order to give this extra impression. I mean, this nicer impression that we have an animation. I mean, the idea is to somehow every some time to change of image, to take. I mean, we have been using the first image, but after some time we should switch. I don't know, perhaps after 2/10 of a second or so, we could switch to the second image, then to the third, then to the fourth, then come back to the first one, and so on cyclically. Okay, if we do that, we will get a better, I mean, something nicer, because visually we will get the impression that there's like a fire burning on the back side, the back of the starship. Okay, so that's my proposal of exercise for you. Well, so that's it. I hope you liked it and you could make the most of it. Well, so see you soon. Bye.